15 minutes.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Gabrielle Patrick. I'm the CEO of NABU. I'm a fintech. If you've come here from Africa, you're especially welcomed. If you're tuning in online, thanks for joining us. I'm very excited to talk about my favorite topics, investment, fintech, and Africa. Is it the end of the bubble? Okay, so we specialize in transaction security. Our customers today are fintechs. We are becoming a UK bank, a clearing bank. Our customers there will be fintechs and banks, and we particularly fill a gap in the clearing and security infrastructural market. So when we think about bubbles, there are normally 5 phases. Displacement. Investors tend to be enamored or romanticized by a new paradigm, this new thing that's come onto the market. Then there tends to be a boom. Prices rising slowly at first, and then some investors, don't want to miss out. They have the fear of missing out, some FOMO with some speculation. And then we tend to go to the 3rd phase of euphoria. Some investors throw caution to the wind. Valuations reach extreme levels. And then we tend to get to the 4th phase of smart money bailing. Smart money tends to be cashing out as they see the bubble about to burst. And then panic. Investors want to liquidate at any price as supply is overwhelmed by demand. So if we take a look at what has actually happened over the last 5 years, in 2018, in terms of African VC deals, about $400 million was raised, with about 233 deals closed. Then we see it climbing up in 2019 to just under $740 billion with 264 deals closed. Then as the pandemic starts to emerge, we see a dip, 243 deals closed with 426 million raised in investment in VC deals. And then at the height of the pandemic, we start seeing a steep climb, just over 2 billion raised, 287 deals. And at the halfway point this year, we see 143 deals, 990 million raised. Interestingly enough, it's just about the midway point of the traction last year. And the total value for digital payments in Africa is estimated to be closing at 116 billion this year, by the end of this year, according to Fintech Global, with a projected compound annual growth rate of just under 17% to 2026. So a very interesting statistic there. If we look at what's happening now across the market, clearly there's a shift, an infrastructural shift. We're seeing financial services growing every year by about 10% per annum, reaching about 230 billion by 2025. Even if we exclude South Africa, it's still a healthy chunk of change, 150 billion. It's a little bit more than I have in my personal bank account. Fintech is the fastest growing industry across the continent, fastest growing startup industry for sure. And what is fueling the growth? It's a couple of things. Increasing smartphone ownership, declining internet costs but increased coverage at the same time, and a very young, fast-growing, rapidly urbanizing population. And I still want to view myself as one of these people that is still young. Okay, but during the pandemic, that has been a two-sided coin, of course. It's caused a lot of significant hardship to lives and livelihoods, but at the same time, it's clearly escalated digitization. And so now we have a dynamic where there's a very fertile ground for fintechs to grow and prosper. Fintechs have consistently been delivering value over the last 5 years especially. And according to McKinsey, transactional solutions with fintechs have been up to 80% cheaper, significant savings up to 3 times higher, and the cost of remittances has decreased by 6 times. This is one of my favorite slides that I actually prepared in 2020, courtesy of the ecosystem map of Brighter Bridges. They're a great data analytics firm. And you could see at the time in the UK, there were 1,500 fintechs versus the continent, just 500. I updated it last week. 600 fintechs, conservatively, versus 2,500 now in the UK. What is interesting to me is if we compare different regions, in the States, there are about 9,000 fintechs. As I mentioned, in the UK, probably about 2,500. But only 600 in Africa for a continent of 1.3 billion people. So I think there is quite significant room to grow. If we look at the revenues and fintech penetration, estimated to grow about 8x. In 2020, we saw about 2.5% of fintech penetration in 2020, estimating about $4 billion in revenue produced by fintechs alone. If we look with a view to 2025, an average country in Africa producing about $12 billion in revenue with a 5% fintech penetration rate. If we look deeper to Ghana, 8% penetration is estimated with about $19 billion in revenue. And in Kenya, 13% with about $30 billion in revenue. You can see here that most of the scale is estimated by blockchain and crypto companies, with wallets and remittances companies coming at second place. And what has the bubble gotten right? A couple of things. There's been a fintech revolution. Can't put it back in the box. It's changed the banking and the payment space forever. The market has invested in great, fast-growing companies. Globalization is slowing, but e-globalization is accelerating. And you know, some evangelists, for example, the Web3 guys and the crypto guys, they may not have gotten everything right, but they're certainly asking right questions. How do we trade, for example, digital assets? Some of the stars for this year, you know, significant amounts. I won't go through them all. I think I'm running out of time. But you know, that's amazing. That's amazing to me because this was not possible, in my opinion, even 5 years ago. So what are we going to see next year? It's going to be a fintech refocus. Gone are the days of, you know, pie in the sky dreams. I think investors are going to be even more super cautious than they are now. Scarcer capital. This is definitely an investor's market. Not great for us as fintechs, but it's great for you. And so you're going to see more corporates piling in where perhaps prior they didn't see that those deals were feasible or achievable. The strongest definitely will survive. Any hypergrowth propositions that are not actually proving sustainability and monetization, I think, are going to fall by the wayside. There's going to be more consolidation and more robust models with a pan-African or global scope. And this is why we're here, because the fintechs are escalating not just, you know, inter-country, intra-country, pan-African, but now with a cross-border view. And of course, the UK to African market is a very healthy bridge. My company is an example of one of these hybrids. We are a secure of transactions with a clearing platform. This is a view of our ecosystem. And this is just a diagram to demonstrate what an operating system can look like that would support a growing fintech ecosystem across the continent and anticipate that growth. So I want to leave on a very positive note. I don't see it as the end of the bubble. It's just the end of the beginning. There's much more to be done. This is the time definitely for African fintechs to lead in global innovation. It's a time to support homegrown innovators. The African culture is one that I feel is endemically and inherently suited to adapting to markets. So the current slowdown that we're seeing is exactly that. It's a slowdown. It's not the end of the bubble. And I thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions if I have any time left. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.